James Edward. I just live here in Salt Lake City. Just love Winter Village Legos for about 10 years now, and kind of just slowly evolved in this process of adding more feet each year until we turned into this massive display you see here.
Do you know how long this is or how many pieces are in it now?
It's about 15 and a half feet by 6 feet, and I knew people were going to ask me how many pieces there were, and the answer is no, but I did weigh it, and it weighs 250 pounds, and I believe that equates to about 100,000 pieces, probably plus or minus 5,000. So that's kind of where we're at.
Yeah. It's a whole spectacular layout here. I mean, there's just so much that captures your attention as you walk up. But let's start with kind of the mountain, and then we can make our way down here. Sure. So what all do we have happening in this section?
Well, I grew up in Utah, and skiing is a huge part of, just the culture here. So it couldn't just be a mountain. It had to be a ski mountain. And I've seen some mountains online and things like that, but mine was important to be a ski mountain. And it really just kind of just started one row of brick at a time, and you just kept going. And as I was doing it, it just sort of kind of it changed the angles that I thought it was going to be. It totally changed as I got farther up, as it was happening, I was like, I actually like it better this way. So it ended up having 2 runs down the side instead of 1 down the middle. Someday I may build a chairlift, but for now you can just hella ski down off the top. So that's kind of how the mountain kind of came together in that regard. Some of these down here where it was an old Friends set, the winter cottage that I modified a little bit, and there's a little hot tub in the back where people are lounging. This was the cider mill that I know is so popular. I think it was on Rebrickable, someone's design. I had to have that one. Absolutely love that one. And that's kind of what this is. A lot of us are the official Christmas sets, and then some that I modified, but then some amazing sets out there that people have made that when you see it, like, I got to have that one, whether it's real Lego or a set you have to piece together. And so that's kind of the ski mountain area. I was really proud of the mountain itself, but just kind of the culture and vibe that if you grew up in a winter community, you know what the vibe is like at the base of a ski resort. People are just hanging out. And so that's kind of what I wanted to do. And there's hiking trails for people on snowshoes. They're going up the mountain. You can see it a little bit there on both sides.
I love the little snow guardian Easter egg.
Yeah, a little guardian there. And, and we'll see it probably throughout. There's little hidden movie scenes throughout in here, and one of them's on the mountain there. You got the old Better Off Dead movie scene where the kid's, he wants his $2. He's on the bike. So it's a movie from the 80s, right up my alley. So.
Perfect. We'll keep making our way through then. So as we get to this section, what do we have happening?
Well, any winter village needs a church, and there's no official one. So this was one that I really liked online, modified it a little bit from the version that I found, and then just kind of a little tiny alleyway here. Just really put as many minifigures out there as we could in different varieties. Down here you have a little scene from Love Actually. You may have seen that where, some people think it's a really creepy scene in the movie where he's going after Keira Knightley even though she just got married. But, little scenes like that. We have Ahsoka here. She's kind of buried her clones, or not her clones, but the 501st. So just little things like that, kind of just a fun little area. There's a little dog park there. We've recently become a family of 2 dogs, so that was very important to make sure we had dogs in there. So that's kind of a little bit there. Kind of transitioning a little bit here. There's kind of that Christmas tree lot and the barn. That was kind of just... That stuff just came together. Like anyone who builds Legos, you have no idea what you're really going to do. You just start with a piece, and then you kind of just went from there. And it has 2 trains, both the original trains. I think that one back there was 2008, even before the Winter Village line, and then the one that came out like 5 years ago. And so it had a little sidecar for them to pull in. My dad actually drove trains for 40 years as a living, so getting the trains working, functioning was important. Trains are not easy to do. Those people that have the big train displays, I don't know how they do that.
But the family legacy to live up to, though.
I had to, absolutely. So the big one's the one that runs, but this other one's here. So that's kind of a little bit there.
Is this a Curious George reference right there? I don't think I've ever seen a Curious George Lego reference.
My kids, one of their favorite Christmas movies, even now they're a little bit older, 14, 12, and 9, it's called a Monkey Christmas. And Curious George, they go to a Christmas tree lot, and he knocks all the trees over in classic Curious George style, and a tree falls into a folding chair, and that's the tree he wants. So there's the tree in the top of the chair in the top of the Christmas tree. So it's really, no one knows about it, but that's our little inside joke for our family.
I love it. I grew up with those Curious George stories as well. It's so much fun. And then as we move back to kind of the town square section, lots of action, so much color. I love it.
It's classic town square there, and that was a Christmas tree set that was a couple of years ago, but I doubled it to make it bigger. You got the kids down there playing a little, singing their concert. The classic "Go See Santa." The kids in line there. A lot of the kind of a German market feel with the market there, which was nice to have. I really liked, and this came together. This. Dia de los Muertos, I think how you say it. I'm sure I butchered the name a little bit. That was super fun to put together one time because I kind of had that corner. There was a Christmas tree there. I'm like, it's kind of boring. And when I started to think that might be cool, and I had those mariachi guys just kind of laying around, I researched the colors, and it was lots of lavenders and pinks and yellows, and it was so fun. So much of this was fun, but that was one of those ones, it came together in a couple hours, and that moment clicks when you're so proud of something you did, and that was one of those fun things. It's like, that is cool. So that was a little fun thing that I did there. It kind of gets lost in the shuffle. There's so much, but that was kind of fun.
You've got the little carousel back there as well, which is a nice feature.
Yeah, carousel. The motor doesn't work like I wanted. I'm not a motor guy, and I wish it was spinning, but I set it up, and it worked for a little while, and I think the gears came loose. But, it's still fun. It still sits there. And that's just kind of, have the Harry Potter Diagon Alley sets over there that I kind of winterize a little bit. A lot of the classic sets are on there. You can see as you move a little bit farther down here, you got Buddy the Elf walking just on the end of the sidewalk over here, and that's the world's best cup of coffee restaurant there that he's found. And the Lego store right next to it, which there's a couple of AFOLs coming out of the store there with their recent purchases. Classic AFOLs. They got tattoos everywhere, and so super fun to do those things. Just those little details that as I was doing this as a family, my family is very involved in this as well. It's those details. My daughter loves to set up minifigures in action poses. So as you look around, if there's anything cute action pose set up, it was my daughter, because I would just set a guy down, two legs in, and it's there. But no, hers have to be motion, which is great, and I love that when kids are very involved in it that way.
I think that captures so much of the spirit of Christmas as well, with that family involvement. Not only an incredible layout, but then you get those people involved, and everybody's able to add a little bit of their kind of personality into the layout.
Absolutely. That's been super fun to do, and it's evolved. We started this about 4 years ago, kind of piecing it together each holiday season, and my youngest son was 5, and now he's 9, and he's slowly added things, and he's kind of become a part of just kind of those details as well.
So we'll keep making our way through here then. I like this section. We got a little bit of like a sledding hill there.
Yeah, a little sledding hill. That gingerbread house, when it came out, I thought, that'd be kind of cool on top of a sledding hill. That's evolved a little bit through the years as I've changed the layout. You got Clark Griswold sledding down the hill there on his disc that he oils up real good. Down here, this ice skating pond, I changed it completely from my version last year to make it look more real. Before it was just kind of a big circle, but I wanted it to look more natural, like an actual frozen pond. It's very strong ice. Hulk can totally, he can stay on skates there, and it was, him and Black Widow, they're on a little date there. Han and Leia are on a little date. Got a little curling game going on it might be a little battle of DC versus Marvel going on down there. And a little horse carriage around the pond there. You can see 3 carriages go around, and just kind of, I remember as a kid there was a local farm here called Wheeler Farm, and you go on carriage rides and, horse-drawn carriage rides in the winter, and that kind of was a little bit, little tribute to that.
So much fun. I love it. It's almost like a nostalgic feeling as you describe some of this stuff here. It's so cool.
Yeah, I would try to think of the things you do. In fact, one of the things, in fact, it's back there. We'll get to it a little bit. Figured out a way to make a little snow angel. I did that a couple weeks ago, just randomly. Found a way to do that. I hadn't seen a snow angel. I'm like, that's actually kind of fun. So when you think of things from your childhood, what could I put in there as someone who grew up in a winter community? It was really fun to stumble upon a lot of those.
Now I think we've come to a parade. We've got floats, we've got Star Wars, some of everything.
A little bit of everything, yeah. You got to have a little Christmas parade, and that 501st Marching Band really just came about the night before we came to BrickSlopes, and those are my son's clones, and he loves his clones. He was worried I was going to take them from him if I borrowed them, but I convinced him, no, if we can make the instruments, so it's the Camino High School Marching Band going down the middle of the parade. Super fun for me to put together. Whether people like it or not, that's okay. I love doing it, and it was great. And you got to have Star Wars in there as well.
Especially for kids your son's age. Very, very, very intense with the clones, yes.
And there's few, the Ahsoka reference there. That the marching band. There's a little small little camping snowball fight of another Star Wars thing. So got to have that in there. We got a little bit. Try to get as many themes, even if it's one minifigure. Got to have a little bit in there.
And then that brings us to definitely an unusual part for a winter layout here. This is your waterfront and your docks. So what all have you included in this section?
Well, this was all kind of new from this year. I started building this in March, and I was thinking it all kind of started from this old fishing house. I had that, and I had that boat from that Bricklink set, and I thought that'd be kind of cool to have that in our build somehow. And I thought, what about if my winter village was known as, it was the winter village that goes from mountain to coast. And it kind of clicked in my head. It's like, that could be fun. But I first had to figure out how to make the dock or the fishing store work. And I eventually settled on, what if it was just on a boardwalk and you just sort of made it a lively boardwalk? Because even though you don't think of that as Christmas, cities on the coast still celebrate Christmas. And so they still have they may not have the snow as much, but they still have their wreaths on the light posts and all those things. So we kind of just I almost think we don't have a coast here, but I thought a little bit of, maybe this is kind of like Vancouver, where they have the ski mountains, but then they're right up on the coast. So it's not, the city doesn't, it's not a particular city that I've copied, but a little bit maybe like a Vancouver, where it goes from mountain to coast.
Kind of pick out geographic regions that you're sort of representing in your mind.
Yeah, absolutely. And so that was super fun to come up with a boardwalk that worked and looked like a boardwalk. If you look over there on the pier, this was super important for us, Yoda being attacked by seagulls, which was super fun.
An iconic piece of cinema.
Absolutely iconic piece of cinema. One of my favorite music videos of all time. That was super fun to put together. And just kind of, the new Muppets line that came out just this year, when that new Friends Theater came out, I kind of thought, what if the Muppets Christmas Carol was actually playing in that theater, and the Muppets came to watch their own show? And so there the Muppets are all in line, getting ready to go on the show. And, of course, I don't know their name, but you got the two old guys up in the window who were looking out, getting ready to, heckle people. So
someone in the comments can name them for sure.
Yeah, I'm sure. I can. Should know it, but I actually don't. So lots of just different. It's a very lively boardwalk, and that's how I've been to boardwalks usually in the summer, not in the winter. But I kind of, if it's Christmas Eve and the weather is relatively nice, people are just going to be out and about, and so that's kind of how it came about. And the pirate ships. Honestly, that was a function of when I saw my table space, I was going to have a little extra room, and I thought, what if I just added more base plates and winterized some pirate ships? And so I remember on a trip I went to Boston one summer, they have a thing called a Tall Ships Parade. And I thought, well, this is just a Tall Ships Parade. And the tall ships just decorated their ships like Christmas. So that's how I was able to work pirate ships into a winter village. That's what it's all about, right? Coming up with creativity and having fun.
I love this perspective. When you walk up to the layout from like the public perspective, you see these ships, you see the fireworks going above them, and then the whole layout with kind of the mountain kind of centering it in the back there, kind of creating that perspective is just so incredible as your eye kind of takes it all in, and then you get closer and start to spot the details. It looks incredible here.
Well, thank you. It was many years in the process to put it together, but really fun, and tried to work in as many details as we can. Somewhere out there, I can't even remember what it is, Mando has Baby Yoda in a little Snuggie on his front. I think it's back there somewhere. And, when you got kids that like Star Wars, you worked as many of those details in as possible. Back there.
We can kind of start making our way around, yeah, because I know there's more to show on this side as well. So we've shown, we can point out the carousel here as well.
Oh, yeah, that was a new, pretty much the new 3-in-1 set that came out this year, but I had to make it, Christmas. So I figured out a way to look online, look at some ideas people had, and create a little Santa to put on the front there. And that yellow house behind it it's a surf shop. It's not very busy right now because not many people are surfing. In fact, I think it's abandoned. If you look inside, I think there's anything in there.
They've completely closed up.
That was more of a function of time than anything. Someday maybe they'll actually get it back, but that was kind of fun to put together. Very last minute, like everything. Back there you have a cider mill, or not cider mill, excuse me. That's like a maple syrup stand back there where we don't have much of that here, but I know that it's a very big part of back east, things like that. So it's fun to create.
Tapping the trees, getting that good syrup.
If you look in this park right here is where you kind of see the snow angels that I kind of came up with a little bit. I think there's a couple kids that are on there making snow angels, and that was really fun to figure out. A lot of what my Lego experience is like is you have an idea, now how do I figure out the execution of the idea? And that was kind of fun to just add a little park next to that row of houses. This was the new, is it Grindelwald, the new Harry Potter set that came out? I can't remember the name of it, but I wanted a row of apartments, so I used the real one, and then I made two more that kind of you change the color up. So just gotta have there's got to be places for people to live in a city. Yeah, it can't just all be stores and post offices and bakeries and fire stations. People need to live somewhere. So that's where a lot of people live in there. I think Darth Vader lives in there. I think there's a few more Star Wars people that live in there.
I'd love to come back here and get the interior perspective of a lot of the buildings that we saw the facades of earlier.
Yeah, for sure. A lot of the classic Christmas sets. That one you're looking at right there, that's if you look real close, the classic Christmas movie, The Ref. A lot of people probably aren't familiar with that, but that's Dennis Leary. He's holding a couple of people hostage, tied them up because he's done bad things and he's got to lay low, and he's decided to lay low in their house. So it's another one of those Easter eggs. It's very subtle. Not a lot of people here at BrickSlopes have recognized that one, but it's one of my favorites, so I made sure to put it in there.
Thanks for pointing that out.
Yes. Not often you have a gun pointed at people's heads in a Christmas village. Working away, yeah, you can kind of see the back of just kind of that market square.
Carnival type stuff going on.
Yeah, absolutely. It's probably, probably mid 40s degrees. It's not, if it was 15 degrees, no one would be out there like that. But, it's a nice winter evening, afternoon where people are out. That's how I view it. It's not freezing cold.
Right.
You can still have a ski mountain and not be freezing cold.
And then we'll keep making our way down. I love the trees. You've even incorporated these lights in here with a little battle happening out front.
Yeah, small little battle there. In fact, Dave Sheffick, he had a great Christmas village about 4 years ago, and he had a huge Hoth battle scene. This is just a small one. This is actually more of just, it's almost like LARPers. They're out there. They're just kind of like, they're out there with their, they decided to get dressed up, and they got their tents to camp out for the night. So it's just a small little thing. They're not real stormtroopers. They're just, there's regular people dressed up for the day.
Having some fun.
Exactly. Working our way. Yeah, the lights in the trees, that was really fun to, put together. We had this displayed in our garage last year. We had open houses, and we had it all lit up. We turned out the lights. People would come at night. But I wanted to keep the lights on here, even though it's so bright, just so people could kind of get that sense there. And in fact, here we have found Baby Yoda and Mando. In fact, Mandalorian's got a selfie stick with the Christmas tree in the background. I would actually wonder what that picture would look like. That would be really fun to get a camera way down there and see. So.
But now we can see as we round the corner inside the mountain. So this is super neat. Not only did you build up the ski slopes themselves, but you've got scenes inside here. So what's happening over here?
So as I was starting the mountain, I said, I got to have the North Pole somewhere. And why not put it in the mountain? Because this city, we never saw the North Pole as kids. It was all an imaginary thing. So you have the regular residents down there living, and the North Pole was important to have it in there and be hidden. We have down on this lower level, this is where Santa's, that's basically his runway where he takes off from. And back up, tucked way underneath, is the Air Traffic Control Center where the elves kind of monitor the traffic to make sure we don't have any Santa sleigh airplane collisions there. Up above here, you have, the break room for the elves. They can't make toys all the time. They have to relax. They have to sleep. We got some air hockey tables, some pinball machines. The favorite game of all elves in my North Pole is Super Smash Brothers. They play all day. It's always on. That was fun to kind of have that. And not surprisingly, that's my kid's favorite game when I was doing this. So it was nice to have. And then you have the toy factory down there. They're making toys. You got all the reindeer stables. If you look for the red door on the reindeer stables, That was my son's Ben's idea. He needed to make sure everyone knew who Rudolph was, so he has the red door, which is great. He was 7 at the time, and it was all his idea to put the red door on. So that was fun to see kind of the involvement of the kids. And then you have up top, Mrs. and or Mr. and Miss Claus just hanging out. Everything is happening down below. They're just kind of, overseeing it. They're kind of overseeing the whole operation. This helicopter on top, we didn't get to wear that. Heli-skiing. I never heli-skied, but I imagine that would be amazing to jump out of a helicopter and ski down. We don't have a chairlift, so you kind of, if you want to get to the top, you got to heli-ski or hike up. Maybe a chairlift someday. I'm not a curious guy. A little intimidated by that.
Hey, something to experiment. This is 4 years. You've got years left to continue to build.
Yeah, absolutely. Maybe BrickSlopes next year. I'll have a chairlift. And my daughter wants us to build a zoo. I don't know. There's always more. There's always more.
But this is such a beautiful, fun layout here. So at Christmas time, are you able to lay the entire thing out in your house?
Too big for our house. It goes in the garage.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But you are able to have it all on display.
It all in the garage, and we have open houses for the neighbors to come over.
What an awesome neighbor. I mean, who has a giant Lego layout for the neighbors?
Everyone, so popular for the blinking lights all over houses to music, and this is our way of having it. It's a different version of an open house. People, they have to get out of their cars and come look, but that's kind of what we have done with that. So, and we had it all set up for night skiing during our open houses. We had lights down the mountain. It wasn't realistic to transport the lights here because we had to unstring everything. But yeah, lots of fun. Lots of fun to, once you get it set up, then the details really come out. So that's kind of what we've tried to do.
Spectacular work here. Thank you so much for taking all this time to take us through and point out so many fun details. I love the layout, and I'm sure the public has gotten a lot of enjoyment out of finding the details in it as well.
Yeah, it's been fun. We have a little thing there that says, look for these movie scenes, and people are like, where's Buddy the Elf? Where's the Dumb and Dumber guys? In fact, I think did we point out the Dumb and Dumber?
We might have missed those.
We better point those out. Over here, you have Lloyd Christmas and Harry in their orange and light blue tuxedos with their $250,000. Actually, I think it's $1 million in their Samsonite briefcase. And the owl. In the movie, they actually killed the owl, but we thought, no, we'll just have them playing with the owl. So little details like that throughout. So hopefully everyone here and anyone looking on your video will be able to look at those fun things. So
great work. Do you plan to take this layout to any other Lego shows anywhere? Maybe back here to BrickSlopes next year?
Probably here. I live in Utah. Why not? This is my first show ever.
Really?
So there's total noob. We just said let's bring it and see what it's like.
Well, you certainly made a statement with this large of a layout of your first convention, so very impressive here.
Well, it was fun to do, not fun to put together yesterday and figure out how to get here, but we got it here. Very little broke. So, yeah, I think we'll be back. Why not, right?
Sounds good. Can't wait to see more in the future. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thanks for coming, guys.